Okay, so
And
what are you seeing, Michelle, as far as what do they start at the rents over there?
so from what I see, I mean, they have studio and one bedroom apartments for as low as $200 a month.
Okay.
And that is in the city and even around the city. Even
Okay.
I'm on the south side, I'll be on the north side next week. And if like the Airbnbs that I've stayed in, the one that I'm in now is it's a one bedroom, but my neighbor said you can have a two bedroom here for $400.
Today we're going to head down to the beautiful country of Chile with my new friend Michelle Thomaston. And Michelle, thanks for doing the podcast. Great to meet you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
So I am so interested in hearing your story. You got a fascinating story. You left the US and you guys are really searching for a home. So, you know, before we really dive into some of these questions, give us a little backstory about who you are, where you're from, what you guys are up to.
Okay, so well, my name is Michelle Thomaston, like you said, and my husband, Gary Thomaston, we started a business back in 2001, a production company. And we have been doing pretty well with the production company up until COVID hit. We dabbled a little bit in real estate. I don't have a real estate license, but we did flip a few properties right before and right after COVID. And but the media company is what's most near and dear, like to my heart. I'm a creator. I love to help other businesses take their business to the next level through websites, graphic design, promo videos, any type of marketing materials. That's what I love to create. Video production, editing, things like that. And for the audio side, that's what my husband does. He is a music producer, so he produces the background music. He's a good engineer. He mixes the music down and makes sure that all of your levels are correct. And, we've just been working together like that for 20 something years. I'm a Gemini and he's a Capricorn. So most people are like, you guys are not even supposed to be together, but we balance each other off. I mean, to me, it's like a great balance. When I'm ready to
Yeah.
go, he's like, wait, wait, wait. So
Hmm.
I feel like we always find a good medium. But yeah, pretty much like our business was doing well into COVID. In the States, we have 5 acres of land that we were going to go off grid right before COVID hit. We bought those 5 acres. I didn't want to go off the grid initially. What happened was I realized that if you're not self-sufficient, if you're not in control of your power, of your food, of your water source, you are probably going to be screwed at some point in your life
Hmm.
during this era.
Yeah.
So it's not that I was like this hippie seeking it. It was more of I'm seeking a way for my family to be able to survive anywhere under any conditions. How can we take our control back and be in more responsible for what we need on a daily
Yeah.
basis?
Yeah.
So sometimes that's with me and my husband. Like I said, we're not the same. So sometimes he doesn't really see where I'm coming from. And he's like, well, you want to do this? And I'm like, no, I don't want to. We have to.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
if we don't, we're going to suffer. Maybe now, maybe later, maybe both.
Yeah.
So, and once COVID hit, I'll just throw this in there. Our business pretty much crashed because we were doing a lot of live events, sporting events. I
Hmm.
became a life insurance agent.
Hmm.
So I'm also licensed in 23 states in the United States, and
Hmm.
I through that I forced myself into finance because as long as I had my business, I thought that I told my kids that they were teenagers at the time. I said, guys, I'm so glad you know how to do this because you'll never be without work. Sports aren't
Hmm.
going anywhere. You'll be able to film and do all of this stuff. I'm not thinking about robots taking my position. at
Yeah.
this time that I'm
Right.
talking to my children, you
Sure.
know.
Yeah.
So I was, up until COVID hit, I was so confident in what was working for me and my family.
Mm-hmm.
And COVID was like a punch in the gut that was like, no, no, I don't care what kind of talent you have. You sit at home, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Or
Yeah.
find something else to do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what got us into more of the real estate as well, because we got a contract with Dollar General because they were
Mhm.
one of the only stores open, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were remodeling their stores all across the country when COVID hit. So we
Okay.
were still working with our children. They were following us around in hotels doing this because all we had at that
Wow.
time was the land.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, basically in a nutshell, insurance, being in the financial sector gave me another insight of how bad our future is in
Mm-hmm.
America, financially, economically, which
Mm-hmm.
turns into emotional and, depression and everything that everybody's going through. It was definitely an eye opener, in more than one way, COVID. But I feel like we're coming out on top because we're making the best decisions based on the information that we have.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to seek it. You can't look at TV and think they're going to give you everything that you need.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of our civilization is, especially in the States. They're just like, oh no, well, they said the numbers are good. We're good,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not.
You did the deep dive, but it's interesting because there are a lot of people that had businesses that went under during that period because of the restrictions, and it really changed a lot of people in the way that they think, in the way that they live, in the way that they approach life today. It sounds like you guys made that big transition, but it sounds like you kind of have that gypsy spirit in you too already. You've always kind of had that as well, which is interesting to me. And now you guys are like looking for a place to live, and you're down in Santiago, Chile, living right now and trying to figure that out. So that is really interesting. Give us a little bit of your thinking about, okay, we're leaving the US now, and you've identified Latin America. Paint that picture for us. Where did you figure out where it is that you wanted to move to, and are you there?
Great question. Great question. Um, so basically, doing the research, you look at what type of countries are either, like Argentina. They have been in a inflation situation for quite a while. You can kind of go online and research and see what's kind of going on with the different countries. So what happened was, during the research, I stumbled upon Paraguay, and looking at it on the map, I'm always thinking about natural disasters, and my husband as well. He's like, I don't want to go on any island. I don't want to be too close to the water just in case. I want to be as elevated as possible. Or, we're always thinking about these things when we either purchase a place or move to a place.
Yeah.
So so Paraguay was it. Now, again, my husband was not excited. He was not very excited about Paraguay.
Are you thinking about moving abroad, planning to start a business, or perhaps help others relocate just like you're doing? You're going to need a professional website. That's where Kazi.com comes in. I've worked with Kazi.com for over 5 years. They've built me multiple websites, including AdventureFreaks.com. You can take a look at the website to view their work. And here's why I keep choosing them. Expertise you can trust. They can create any type of website you need, tailored to your vision, with immense knowledge and skill. They provide outstanding support. Their team goes above and beyond to help and guide you every step of the way. And the incredible value, the cost. It's just a fraction of what you'd pay elsewhere without sacrificing quality. They even offer a free consultation to help you get started. So to take the next step, you can scan the QR code on the screen, or you can click the link in the description below to schedule your free consultation. If you mention Adventure Freaks, they'll give you an additional 10% off. Now let's get back to the video.
Paraguay was the place that I found research wise. as far as being able to get residency, taxes. You're not taxed on foreign income there. So there were a lot of places, a lot of reasons, the way that it's centered in the country, on the continent rather. And there were just a few different things I loved about Paraguay. So I'm like, let's do it. My main goal is getting residency and obtaining a passport for me and my children so that we can move more freely than we are right now.
Hmm.
So Paraguay was the place. I back in I think maybe July, I got the Airbnb for Paraguay. Was a 3-story with a swimming pool, about $1,200. I mean, and for $1,200 in America, Airbnb, you're spending that in 1 week.
Yeah,
Okay. So I'm
sure.
like, bet with the pool, like 6 rooms, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Paraguay it is. It's already set. It's in the plans. It's paid for. Now we're just getting the tickets.
Hmm.
So at this point, I'm still traveling back and forth to Chicago. I'm still working and like paying these things, paying off little debts that I have, making sure that when we leave, we can leave with a clear head.
Hmm.
And so yeah, my husband's still like, hey, okay, let's go. I still don't see the reason why we need to bring all our stuff except my car, because you can't bring
Hmm.
your car. But let's go. So we booked the flights. I realized that Delta, and I only wanted to fly Delta. Delta did not fly into Paraguay. And they fly into Chile.
Hmm.
And I would have to switch planes, pay baggage fees for all of our equipment. So I told my husband, listen, doesn't Santiago sound nice? Like, remember our favorite movie? Was it not Alone Came Polly, but the other Ben Stiller one, Santiago, Chile.
Yeah,
I'm like, you hear about that in the movies. Let's just stop and stay a few days. And then
sure.
we'll book our flights and go to Paraguay. Right? So we get here and he's like, we're in the cab, and he's looking outside and he's like, why you got me in this third world country? I'm like, hey, like this is not where we're gonna be. We're gonna be in Paraguay. It's like a pool and everything. I'm like, we're just stopping, we're just stopping through. And he's like, I don't like it. I don't like it. And I don't think Paraguay's gonna be better. He said, if this is like this, I don't think Paraguay's gonna be better. I don't like it. I'm not convinced. So I'm like, well, cancel the Paraguay Airbnb. And while we're here, we're just here a couple of days. I canceled the first day when he said, you don't want to go? I'm like, fine, I'll cancel it. Because your happiness and comfortability and all that is more important than the $1,200 I'm about to lose.
Hmm.
Because you can't just cancel and not, get your money back at this point, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, so we're here and we are in an Airbnb for a few days. And now that I've canceled our next one, we're looking for something else. So Airbnbs here again, they're not the cheapest, but compared to United States, you can do it. You can just basically Airbnb it for a year if you wanted to and still make out paying less than you would in America.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think our first Airbnb was I don't know. I'm going by monthly because now that we're here monthly, I can speak on that a little more. So you
Mm-hmm.
can find you an Airbnb for 700, 800, especially even in the city,
Hmm.
little apartment, Airbnb, you can do that. Seven,
Sure.
800, and everything's included. You're not worrying about the lights, you're not worrying about the water bill or anything. And cables on and everything. So
And
you
that's
can just
per month, right?
that's per month.
Per month. Yeah.
That's per month. And if you're looking for like 2 bedrooms, they got maybe 900, $1,000. They go up from there. But if you're
Hmm.
like on a budget and you're trying to figure out where can I go with my family, I got enough room and we can figure it out when we get there,
Hmm.
Airbnb is the way to go.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
once we realize that, hey, we'll probably not go to Paraguay right away. Let's see what we can start here and accomplish here. And let me say, when you get here, you have a 90-day stamp,
Mm-hmm.
that they give you at the airport. So you got 90 days to figure out what you want to do. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, okay, well, maybe we will go to Paraguay when we leave, but we'll just be here for a minute till we can get accustomed to things, learn the language a little bit. And I have a contract that I'm working. My contract's only 8 weeks. I'm like, we'll just do the contract here, sit in the Airbnb. All I need is Wi-Fi and a little bit of space. We can make this work. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where we are now. But the research that I've done and how to assimilate, how to become residents here, um, everything that I've seen is just there's paperwork, but it's so much easier and the prices are so much less than it is in the States.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whether we stay here, go to Paraguay or Peru or Uruguay, we're still going to be better off than we would have been staying in our paid for cabin,
Hmm.
in our 5 acres down the road that's got fresh water, which I
Yeah.
love my land, I do, but I don't know who's going to have that land in a couple of years if China or Russia or whoever gets a hold of us. I don't know. I just don't want to be there to find out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, great. Well, let's dive into some of the things that you're moving through right now or learning. So, the people that are considering moving to Latin America, looking at Chile, what have you learned about the visa requirements?
Okay, well, first of all, before you decide to move anywhere out of America, you have to have all of your paperwork apostilled and or notarized.
Hmm.
And I think that's very important to mention because I think some people leave that out. If you feel like you've got your paperwork, then you can just go. But you do have to go through a few steps into having your paperwork apostilled or notarized so that when you get here, you don't have to worry about that.
Hmm.
So they do require, your original birth certificate, marriage license, if you're married, your children's birth certificates, depending on what type of visa you want to come on,
Hmm.
or residency. So we don't have, a job here. You could have a contract here in the country, and basically your employer would supply you with the information that you need to submit with your paperwork, and that paperwork being your apostille paperwork.
Hmm.
Um, the other thing about having that apostille done is depending on what country you go to, that might change. Like when you have it apostilled, you have to tell them, I want this apostille for Paraguay, like I did. So
Hmm.
now I'm here in Chile with apostilles for Paraguay,
Hmm.
right? So I go and see my attorney, and he's like, well, you're going to have to get a new apostille
Hmm.
because if I submit this, they might kick it out and say, well, this is for Paraguay.
Sure.
So yeah, very important. Make sure that you have your paperwork as straight as possible. If you can, center in on where you want to be, do that. But for Chile, you want to have your paperwork apostilled, your birth certificate, marriage certificates, children's birth certificates, and your background check.
Hmm.
And you want to make sure that you're doing this within a time frame because your paperwork may only be valid for about 60 days.
Michelle, is there any info that you know about income requirements on based on these visas that you're exploring?
Well, I know that for retirees, they have a monthly income that they have to show, or if you want to come over as an investor, a passive investor where you're getting rental income.
Hmm.
Because I didn't qualify for either of those, I don't want to give the exact numbers, but I think that the retiree visa was about 1,200 a month. If you're
Okay.
retired, you got to show that. It wasn't very much.
Yeah.
Um, and if you had income, it couldn't be from a job, but if you had like a rental property, you had to show maybe 900 a month. But again, because I didn't qualify for those, I didn't dig into it as much. But one that I did find that was pretty amazing was they have an option for religious reasons. So
Okay.
if you need to come here and you feel like you need to stay in Chile to practice your religion, then that is also an option that you can use for your temporary residency, which will get you on a path to citizenship.
Okay.
So I found that very interesting, and there were no income requirements for that. No,
Wow. Okay.
none listed. None listed.
What what
I've looked on the website in both languages.
what visa is that? What's the name of that visa? Do you know?
Um, let's
Or
see,
you
they
can,
have a contractors. Yeah, I don't know, but I can send that. I can
yeah,
send
send
that
it to
to
me
you.
later, email it to me or something.
I will
No,
because it's
no.
definitely for religious. And it actually the funny thing about it, they say religion or cult. So because I'm not a religious person, I actually don't get the wrong idea, please. But
You
I
can
looked
start
at the
your own
cult
cult
first.
down there.
Hey, I looked at the cult first because I'm like, oh, I don't want to join, anything that I don't really believe in. And I kind of know all the religions. And I'm like, let me see what these cults is looking like, see if I can fit in. And then I was like, I only stumbled upon like two cults and they had like burned the baby alive. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be involved in that. And so I'm like, no. And Buddhism was right at the end of the recognized religions here in Chile.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
yes, this Saturday we are going to our first temple and we are going to be practicing. And
Wow.
I think it's going to be great for the entire family, actually. You
Hmm.
know, so yeah, there. I think that was pretty interesting, and that might be, a little loophole for
Yeah. Okay.
some.
That's great information. Just years ago, I lived in South Korea. That's when I got into Buddhism because I was living there. I was teaching ESL. I was there, and in my neighborhood there was a temple. I went, met the monk that ran the temple, and we became instant friends. And he's like, just anytime you want to come in and sit for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And he taught me just start with just only sitting for 10 minutes. Only 10 minutes. Don't push it. And I'd go in, and the next thing you know, over a period of a couple months, I would fall into meditations that would last 2 hours. And it
Oh,
just started initially with just like there was no pressure because I'm just practicing the breathing and the focus on just for 10 minutes, and that was it. And then I'd leave and I'd go do my thing, and then the next time you'd go in there, oh, it's so easy because it's only 10 minutes, and you're going, oh, I just did it for 15 minutes, then 20 minutes. I was going every single day of the week practicing
oh.
Buddhism, living in South Korea. It was
See,
really, it was awesome.
that is a beautiful thing. I want to, since we're talking about it, and since you said you need to do it more, one of the things that we create, little jackets like this,
Ooh,
meditation over medication.
ooh,
Now,
nice.
I do believe in that. So if that's a religion, then count me in. Residency in the path to citizenship is pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
and pretty clear cut. And I think the price, if you wanted to apply for the contractor's residency, that price was 190. And
Mm,
if you're coming over as a student, if you're in school or a class here, it was
mhm.
160.
Okay.
And the regular temporary resident visa, I believe, is $205 per person.
Okay. Interesting. All right, great. So let's talk about what are you finding out as far as like if you're going to stay there long term, you get a lease and the rentals you're in and around that Santiago area. You're in a suburb of Santiago, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So
And
what are you seeing, Michelle, as far as what do they start at the rents over there?
so from what I see, I mean, they have studio and one bedroom apartments for as low as $200 a month.
Okay.
And that is in the city and even around the city. Even
Okay.
I'm on the south side, I'll be on the north side next week. And if like the Airbnbs that I've stayed in, the one that I'm in now is a one bedroom, but my neighbor said you can have a two bedroom here for $400. Yeah, you can have a two bedroom here for 400, or it could have been 350. But yeah, that like when you go, you can go on Facebook Marketplace and you'll see brand new apartments, 200, 250 a month
That's in Santiago.
in Santiago
Wow. Okay.
all day
Wow.
long, all day long. Now the trick is most of those apartments, they're expecting you to be a Chilean, so they're
Yes.
going to ask you for your root number.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to ask for some bank statements and settlements,
Mm-hmm.
maybe for the past 12 years. But a lot of them don't really lock you in. Like they'll ask you for your first month, what they call a warranty.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll pay your warranty. And if the apartment is being like sold or rented through a broker, they may have brokerage fees and which would be maybe equivalent to 1 month. They'll
Mm-hmm.
let you spread that out. And but it's month to month. So you're not necessarily locked into a year contract if you don't want to be.
Right.
And it's very low risk, from someone coming from the States. you put your deposit down, and if you leave, then now you like have a debt. If you can't stay there for the entire duration of your lease,
Mhm.
now you owe an extra 12, $2,000 or whatever the lease termination fee is. So it's a little,
Sure.
it's a lot different. Um, from what my neighbors told me, light bills are about $50.
Mhm.
The water is included in some of these places. So it really just depends on the property you choose. But honestly, once you get your paperwork and stuff together, you could easily rent an apartment for $200-300 a
Wow.
month. And if you want something like, a little more upscale, you can, spend $600. But I honestly haven't seen much over 600. And that's for the
Wow.
nice ones. That's
That's
for the nice ones. And I mean
what?
for rent, not Airbnb. I'm just saying for rent. You're in
Right.
PA and you're renting, like they're out there. And I'm like, wow, this is really nice.
I'm
And no one's been in there before. It's new.
I'm guessing, Michelle, based on what you've already shared and knowing that you're a research guru, that have you looked into the real estate there and what the
Oh, yes, I have.
what are
Yes,
they
I have.
starting at over there, like apartments or homes that you can buy?
I've seen apartments for about 30,000. Now, again, this is mostly in the city center, Santiago. So I'd say this is going to be more at the higher end.
Yes.
But I've seen 50,000, 60,000 as well.
Okay.
Um, Not many houses like standalone properties. But if you do find one in the city, they're probably going to run you about 150, 200. If you're right outside the city, they can get up there because they're
Okay.
really nice. It's really nice areas around Santiago. So, that's going to come with the pool and all types of stuff if you're
Okay. So
spending 100, 150,000.
that's a detached house, you're saying, 150 to
Correct.
200. And then the 30, 50, 60,000, those are more condo
Right. Right.
apartments and okay.
And
Well,
these condos, these are 24-hour security. Most, if not all of them, are going to have a pool, a weight room, a children's play area, green area. And when I say 24-hour security, you got the nice people in the lobby. They're cleaning it. They're
yeah.
constantly cleaning. One thing I when I got here, you see a lot of graffiti. So graffiti will make you feel like, oh my gosh, it's dirty. But you look
Hmm.
down and there's not much dirt or cigarette butts or anything on the
Yeah.
ground. And the more that I, walk around town because I don't have a car here, I notice that people take responsibility and pride. Not only do I not really see people drop anything, but you go out in the mornings and everyone's sweeping. They're like, I'm cleaning up this area. And by the time, civilization gets out here, you don't see anything on the road,
Hmm.
on the streets, on the sidewalks. So I will say there's, stray dogs and stuff like that. So you
Sure.
might see a little bit of what they leave behind, but even,
Yeah.
the dogs are not vicious, attacking you, attacking your food you're holding.
Yeah.
It's pretty laid back.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah, as far as pricing, again, I'm spending $2,000 a month just on utilities and insurance in America,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep. Well, but what do you
So
know about utilities over there?
I saw some advertisements for Wi-Fi for like 1490
Yeah.
something. That's like
Okay.
14,000 pesos, which might be like $17 US.
Okay. Okay.
Um, my phone. Now I did get a phone. I tried to get my chip put in it so I would know how much these phone bills are, but I was only able to buy a phone because the language barrier. I couldn't explain to the person what I wanted, so I ended up buying an Android phone for like $100. But it's one
Okay.
of those prepaid phones.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I couldn't tell you on that part yet.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, utilities definitely way, way less than what I was dealing with in that little cabin I had.
So with electric, you're saying about $50. Do you think overall with like water, electric, and maybe gas, it would be under 80?
I'd say yeah, at least under 100. Even if it tipped 80, 85, I'd say you'd be able to
Okay.
get all of that for under $100.
Under 100. Okay. All right, cool. And how about groceries? We know groceries in the States are like crazy high, but they're everywhere. Inflation's everywhere now, even in Latin America. But have you noticed that it's cheaper there?
Well, what I've noticed is some of the fruits and veggies are cheaper. Yes.
Okay.
and they are very more available.
Hmm.
So they are on every block. Okay. Every little cabana. I don't care what they sell, even if they're a bottleria and they sell liquor, they might have some bananas hanging for you to buy. So
Hmm.
the thing that I love that I've noticed about Santiago, and I've stayed in two different areas so far. Each area I lived in, you don't have to walk more than one block to find food, fresh food.
Hmm.
Not the liquor store on the corner, that's everywhere and all you can get is chips. I mean, they have onions, potatoes, pineapples, bananas, plantanos, everything, depending on what store you go in, fresh spices, beans, rice, they're right there. They're at your fingertip. You don't have to, get one of the Uber deliveries, or you don't have to do that. Everything is right there.
Hmm.
So now price wise, like I said, some of the fruits and vegetables are cheaper,
How much you
but the
guys
juice,
think you budget so far for groceries per month?
I'd say, and I go because I'm kind of used to walking and going out in the city now. So I'd probably go to the grocery store a few times a week, or the cabanas. I spend about 25 dollars when I go. So I might spend about $120 a week.
Okay. And so that's about 480 per month, and you're buying for a family of four.
Correct.
So, okay.
Correct.
That's
Now they have
okay.
everything.
How far are you guys from the beach?
About 3 hours. It's
It is 3 hours. Okay.
about 3 hours for
Yeah, I'm
sure.
guessing they got fishing communities that fish and they bring it in daily to Santiago, fresh fish, in
Yeah.
those markets. How about a restaurant? Like when you go out just to a ma and pa, get like a typical Chilean meal. What are you going to pay for a meal over there?
Well, again, I'm vegan, so I eat a little bit different, but I'm used to, if I was eating a meal in America and it was vegan, I might pay about $10 just for the burger, $8, $9 for the burger.
Yeah.
Um, some of that stuff is still the same here. Because I eat
Okay.
vegan, so I
Yes.
can't really speak on like, how much a spaghetti dish is going to be, or steaks, because I
Mm.
don't really know that. But most of ours have been Uber Eats,
Okay.
and there are a lot of vegan options here. And I've been on the north side, south side, and everybody's delivering. So you're gonna find a vegan spot somewhere around you that's at least
Hmm.
you can get it for free if you can't walk there. And not
Hmm.
free, but Uber. So yeah, I'd say when I ate pizza, the garlic bread's like $5. It's
Hmm.
about the same as in the States, or maybe like
Yes.
what it was a couple years ago. Because I don't know if you can
Okay.
still get breadsticks in the States for $5.
Yeah.
But at the Papa John's here, I still was able to get them for $5. At the Papa John's in America, just the plain breadsticks, nothing on them, 7.99.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
So they
so
have a Papa John's in Chile.
they have a Papa John's, they have Domino's, they have Taco
Wow.
Bell. Yes, they have everything. Like, I really came here to get away from
From that,
eating so
yeah.
much processed and all that. I'm like, no, I'm gonna change my life. I'm gonna eat clean, eat healthy. And here we go with this vegan junk that I gotta indulge in. But I'm working on it.
But
I'm
that's
working
the
on it.
thing, though. I mean, you're down there with a family too, and you have kids, and that's what they love to eat. So, I mean, that's the difference too. When you have kids, I
Yeah.
want pizza, and then you're gonna, oh, okay, I'm gonna have a slice or two.
Right, right. And I'm not gonna let you eat it, and I'm not gonna eat it. So we're gonna have to die together today.
Exactly. So how do you get around in Santiago? Do they have a metro system, or is it just a bu public bus system, or?
They have a public bus system. I have not seen a train.
Okay.
I've seen plenty of buses, and people vouch. They say they're very clean, and they get you to where you're going. Like,
Okay.
there's no problem with them. I Uber. It
Okay.
takes me, if I wanted to, like I did some Hanpan, me and the family went about, I'd say 40 miles north of where we are. It cost me $12 in an Uber one way.
Wow.
And then it
Okay.
cost me like $11 to get back.
Okay. All right. Well, let's dive into what have you guys done for entertainment down there? What are you doing? What have you discovered around Santiago that you can do for fun, for entertainment? What are some of the costs associated with that?
So, what we've done so far, we were able to find a hanpan. It's like a musical instrument that's shaped like a spaceship,
Hmm.
and it was a like a class. So they teach you how to play the hanpan. He did some sound healing where you kind of just lay down in silence, and he puts the sounds all over you. Um, and it was in a group setting, so it was maybe four or five of us in this class. But it was very cool, and it only cost us $20 per person.
Okay.
So to me, that was a very good option for us to do. We probably spent 3 hours there, and we were early because we Ubered, so they were welcoming. We were able to meet the family that were doing the hanpan, the father, and everything. So hanpan, I would recommend if you can get your hands on one. Like they have classes out here, and it was a beautiful experience for the whole family. Even my
Hmm.
daughter, she's 2 years old, and she was okay through most of it. She couldn't
Yeah.
participate in a whole bunch, but
Yeah.
she was allowed to be there, and she enjoyed herself.
Yeah. What a wonderful experience for your kids. All right. Last thing we have is healthcare. What have you learned about healthcare down there?
Now, when I did my research, I told you I did it for Paraguay. So what I had in mind is a policy that I was able to buy in the States. And for my entire family, it was $240
Okay.
that covered me and the family. Now, I got a little bit of a higher deductible because, again, I'm not a type of person who goes to the doctor regularly. Okay.
Hmm.
I try to do as much natural healing as I can and natural things. So, for me, I got an outside policy. I do believe that once you become a resident, you're able to tap into their healthcare system, but I just haven't gotten to that point yet. So I'm not sure about that one yet.
What's your impression of the weather down there so far? And what is it year round like in Santiago?
So when we first got here a couple of weeks ago, it was actually pretty cold. Now, again, I was planning for Paraguay, so I was expecting for it to be hot. I didn't really bring coats or, a whole bunch of stuff like that. But it was actually pretty chilly, maybe
Hmm.
like 50, 60 degrees when we first arrived.
So it was
And
chilly in Chile?
it was chilly in Chile. And I was like, oh, I wasn't prepared for this. I got these little windbreaker jackets, but we're gonna have to just double them up and make it work. So yeah, it was kind of chilly in Chile. And another thing that kind of put me on to that was the Airbnbs that we had. They all featured swimming pools. And I'm like, okay, well, it should be summertime and I should be able to get in the pools. The pools aren't open until December.
Hmm.
So we're still like in the transition of, I guess that would be winter and summer or however their
Yes.
their seasons are. But
Yep.
um, so it's now like yesterday it was hot. I walked outside with sleeves on like this. I had to take my jacket off because it was hot.
Yeah.
So it's getting there, and even the chill, it wasn't too bad, but I'd say about 55, 60 when we first got here. It had its moments. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
mostly like in the morning and at night.
Well, Michelle, that's it. We covered everything. Is there anything that you can think of that could help the viewers that are considering moving overseas?
Right. Well, I would say to anyone that if you're on the fence about it, I feel like you put a lot of thought into it and you probably understand that the situation that you're currently in probably won't get much better before it gets worse.
Hmm.
So I'm just going to take that at face value that we kind of already understand that. So I would encourage people to not take their time for granted and do the best things that you can with your money. And sometimes you have to do things drastic. Sometimes if you're in a situation and you're paying your mortgage and that's all you can do, if you continue to do that, that's all you'll ever be able to do. You'll never be able to see a way out of it for the next 30 years.
Hmm.
So my advice would be to find a stopping point. Find a point where you say, you know what? It doesn't matter what happens to my credit. If you take the house back, if you take the car back, sometimes you got to let go of things in order to move into the new chapter of your life. And if it means your credit's messed up, then, you know, sometimes it's got to be so be it. Because otherwise it can be your life and you can't get that back. So
Mm.
I just want to encourage people that are seriously thinking about, for whatever reason you're moving, it's probably going to be somewhere in the better life realm. Do it. Do it. And, but do your research. And if you can't figure out how to do it, then you know, call somebody like Ray or myself and figure out like what direction you want to go in and start making changes to get to that direction. And sometimes that means being drastic and letting go of the things that are holding you in that hell that you're currently in.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want, you know, I know it's a big deal in America. Oh, your credit, I don't want to mess my credit up. And if I do this, but they don't care about that over here.
Right.
If you move to Africa or Germany, or they're not worried about your credit score. The only people that care about it is those people over there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're holding on to that in order to not make another decision, or if that's causing you to, like, you're pulling all of your resources into maintaining this type of lifestyle, and you know this lifestyle is detrimental, then someone has to, you know, be that person to say, this is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Know when it's enough, know when it's enough for you, know when it's enough for your family, and start pooling your resources to that place that you need to go. Because otherwise, if you keep pushing them into the hell that you're currently in, it's going to be very, very hard to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very hard. So please just take that into consideration, that time is running out.
Well, Michelle Thomaston, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. This has been a pleasure. And thanks for sharing all of this information about moving abroad, moving to Latin America, and sharing all this information about living in Santiago, Chile. I appreciate it.
You're very, very welcome. And again, thanks for having me on. And I look forward to seeing some new expats over here. You guys make sure you link up with me.